Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Welcome to 81 Degrees Kelvin. My name's Kelvin West, and I make content for Black people. The Token. So, my husband and I had the wonderful opportunity to be in Prescott this past weekend, and we stayed at this wonderful place called the Hotel St. Michael, which is absolutely an amazing place to stay. They were very, very friendly, just took great care of us. So if you're ever in Prescott, definitely check out the Hotel St. Michael, because it's just a really great time. I had to use the restroom when we first arrived, and instead of giving us the key, they gave us the friendly guy behind his name was JT. The friendly guy behind the desk said, "You're going to need a token." And so he handed me this coin, and I went to the bathroom, and sure enough, you have to put this token into this slot, which opens the door, and then you get into the restroom. And so I thought that was kind of interesting, and that's kind of where this idea of this episode came from, is that the first experience I had in Flagstaff, or not Flagstaff, but Prescott, was the use of this token. Now, we were down there for a client event, and some things happened that I want to discuss today. But what I really want to talk about is the idea of being the token Black guy, right? And how that relates to validating white violence and the dangers of how we as Black people label other Black people tokens. And what it truly means to be a token in Black culture. And fair warning, Black people, this is not going to make you feel comfortable. Today is about you, right? While in Prescott, we went to a couple of bars. And I further want to update you guys on the mural. I had a final reporter reach out to me in regards to this mural, this George Floyd mural, and I'm going to talk to you guys about why you're not going to see that article and my thoughts and my opinions around it. I think we'll start. I'm going to add that one in for a little bit later. But what I want to talk about is I want to talk about my trip in Prescott. First and foremost, it was a fantastic trip. It was an amazing trip. I love traveling with my best friend. It's just a fun time. It really is a fun time. While we were out, though, we hit up several places. And the first place that we hit up, there was this bar, and I forget the name of the bar, but we walk in, and there's two gentlemen sitting at the bar, and my husband Taylor wants to smoke a cigarette, so I go in alone. Now, what's funny is that Taylor and I had just been talking about penicillin, and I don't know why we were talking about penicillin. I can't remember it right now, but we were talking about penicillin, and I walk into this place, and on the menu, there's a drink called the penicillin. And so I ordered the penicillin because it was just very, it was what a coinkydink, right? So I ordered the penicillin, and again, the two men next to me, they're kind of like watching me. One of them said, "What's up, brother?" or whatever he said in that reference. And then I'm talking to the bartender, and we're talking about the specific type of scotch that's in this drink. And little did I know, but the men next to me, one of the men next to me was the maker of the scotch that went into this drink called the penicillin. Now, the other gentleman was a business owner in downtown Prescott. I had met these men not 2 minutes, okay? And they're talking, and they're including me in their conversation, and they're telling me what they do, right? So again, one of the men is a distributor of the scotch. The other man is a retailer who purchases the scotch. This man then turns to me and says, "Well, what do you do?" And before I can answer, he says, "Besides sell drugs," and then laughs it off, right? Now, again, I had not met this person. I had not known this person longer than two minutes. And the first thing that came out of his mouth were, "What do you do besides sell drugs? Ha 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 ha." Now, before I had my awakening, right, my umpteenth awakening in realizing just exactly what time of day it is, I would have probably laughed at that. I would have probably leaned into that joke, right? To that microaggression, to that shade of white violence. I would have leaned into it and I would have played it off. And I would have said, oh, no, well, I do this, right? And I'm still learning, right? I still make mistakes, and sometimes I realize, oh, I played into that a little bit too much because that was inappropriate, right? And so it immediately turned the conversation, as far as I'm concerned, it ended the conversation. And so I said, you know, I'm an entertainer and you guys have a good time, right? You guys have a good day. And I physically turned my back. I physically turned my back to this person. Because again, I don't owe this person any definition as to why, or any explanation as to why I'm doing so. I don't owe this person the patience in dealing with his microaggression or this shade of white violence. I don't owe this person any of that. I simply kept it cordial, which is what I owe myself, right? I owe myself that, because to allow somebody to get under my skin because they are ignorant, that's a detriment to me. And so I physically turned my back, and he tried to comment on some other things, but I just focused on the bartender and waited for my husband to get in. We ordered our drinks, and then we went to the patio. An hour later, we end up at another place. And it's kind of this interesting place. First of all, Prescott has some amazing nightlife going out. The bars there, Wild and Whiskey Row, are fantastic. They're great. We go to this other bar. I believe it was called The Attic. Fantastic bar. The guy behind the bar, super gay friendly. Okay, felt very, very welcome there from the staff. They were very welcoming. I said, hey, I'd like a really, I'd like a really gay ass drink. That's what I said. And the guy behind the bar, who was definitely a friend of Dorothy, if you don't know the term, look it up, said, I want to take his order. And then proceeded to make me the most amazing chocolate Godiva mixed cocktail it took him about 7 minutes to make the damn thing, and there was a lot of elements to it, and it was pristine, fantastic. Okay. My husband gets up and goes and smokes a cigarette. There is this gentleman, this white gentleman, that is just kind of like in the area, ends up sitting in my husband's seat. There was only one seat left to me. My husband gets up, goes to smoke a cigarette. This guy sits in his seat. It's a white guy. And I say to him, hey, my husband's sitting there, but he's smoking a cigarette, but you're welcome to sit. It's totally fine. We're friends, right? Like we are nice people. We welcome company. We like to engage with the locals. This man was definitely somebody who lived in Prescott. And so me and this gentleman, we get to talking. We introduce ourselves. Again, I don't know this man longer than 3 minutes. He says to me then, he starts laughing and he says, you know what's funny is that my cousin's black. And again, instead of leaning in to that microaggression, to that shade of white violence, which is what I would have done, right? That's what I would have done typically before my awakening. Instead of leaning into that, I stepped out of it. And I said, what's funny about that? And then I just sat there and watched as this man completely just deteriorated. He deteriorated. And I didn't engage. I didn't do anything. I simply just spoke my truth. What's funny about your cousin being black? And he said, no, well, it's just, well, you know how it is. And I said, no, I don't know how it is. Please tell me. How is it? Why is that funny that your cousin's black? And why is this the first thing that you're mentioning when you've not known me less than 2 minutes? The trip goes amazingly, right? Goes awesomely. I tell my husband this. Again, we're not bothered by it, but what's interesting is that, like, after I said this to the guy, he tried to, like, move past it. And I just said to him, I said, hey, you know, it was wonderful meeting you, but I'm going to go ahead and save this seat for my husband. You have a good night. And he was so shocked, right? He was so shocked that he got up and he went onto the patio, and unbeknownst to me, my husband ended up telling me later, he walks out, slams his glass on his drink on the table, and is upset. Why? Because I wasn't your token black guy. I wasn't your token. I wasn't your pass. You weren't. I was not going to allow you to be violent with your whiteness, right? And validate you for it. And now you're angry. You're upset, right? Because I didn't behave the way I'm supposed to behave. It's an uncomfortable feeling, you know? Not for me anymore, not anymore. It was uncomfortable in the past when I would see those things or I would hear those things, and I would have to, like, you know, pander to the white privilege. I mean, to the white fragility, right? I have to pander to that, make sure that they don't get upset. But now that I'm not ruled by that or governed by that or governed by white feelings, it's interesting. It's uncomfortable for them, you know, when you say, no, I don't get why that's funny. I don't, why do you think that I sell drugs? Tell me that. I've not known you 2 minutes. What makes you think that I sell drugs? Even if it's just a joke, why that joke? That's such an interesting joke to make upon just meeting somebody. There's so many facts that you could say about yourself. Why mention the fact that your cousin is black? That's a very interesting choice to make. It's white violence, right? And when you are the token black guy, black people, I'm talking to you now. When you are the token black guy, and I speak from experience. Right? I always say I'm going to be the first one to own my truth, and that is that I've been the token. I absolutely have, right? I'll never forget one time I played in a play here. One of the first plays I did in Arizona when I was in theater was Reefer Madness. And we all had to come up, and I was just like I was a background dancer or something like that. And we all had to come up with our own names. And again, leaning in to that shade of white violence, I came up with the name, the token black guy. That was my name. It's credited. You know, I don't know if anybody has not a menu. What is it called? Goodness, I haven't done theater in so long, but it's the thing that has all the acts in it. You guys know what I'm talking about, and all the actors' names and whatever. A program. If you guys had a program of Reefer Madness back in the day, you're going to see Kelvin Harper, token black guy. You know, I leaned into that shade of white violence, and I was that token black guy. You know, taking it back to Prescott, on our way out, we were walking, and Lola, we were walking, and are you the token black cat? She's my token black cat. We were walking, and this white woman out of nowhere comes up and just says, with all of her energy directed at me, "Hi, welcome to Prescott. Hope you guys have a great day." I just had to look at my husband Taylor, and you know, it's like if you wouldn't say that to a white person, why would you say it to a black person? Lola, come here, mama. you know? And so we have to look at those things, and we have to talk about those things as Black people and understand that when we lean into that type of energy, into those shades of white violence, we are hurting ourselves. We are hurting ourselves. Now, before I get to the ABC 15 article and why I believe that article is not posted, I want to talk about the what it means to be a token in Black culture and how we shun tokens, right? Hey, Google. What is a token Black guy?
My apologies. I don't understand.
What is the token Black guy in Black culture?
I don't understand.
Well, Google. That's okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
She's turned into a Black woman all of a sudden. What the token is somebody who panders to white people, right? Seeks white validation. Candace Owens, people would say, I guess, is a token, or coon, which coon is that's a different Black term, and it's another form of just Black people not loving themselves, calling each other coons. That's such a. I'm going to do a whole nother episode on that one, but I really want to focus on the token, right? And how, as a child, I was always called the token, right? And the reality is that just happened to be where I grew up. I'm from Alaska. All of my friends were white. That's not on me. It's not really necessarily even on my parents, because it isn't an issue, right? That shouldn't have anything to do with my Blackness, right? But because I relate very, very well with white people, because I've been around white people my entire life, I'm the token, right? Well, no, it's just because it was hard for me to have Black friends growing up, because I had this label on me that I was this token, right? That I sought white validation when white people were the only people giving me validation. That's hard. That's very hard for young Black people to deal with. And so, when we place those labels on each other, we're setting ourselves up to fail. But I want to get this. I want to take one little turn here, right? So what's interesting is that I was just talking to my mother, because it is Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to every mother out there, right? And I talked to my mother today. I had a great conversation with her. And all the videos that I make, 81 Degrees Kelvin is my show, and I'm very proud of the show, and I love what I do. I love this, I share this with my family. And me and my family, it is what it is. I'm going to speak my truth to it, is that, I love my family very dearly. Am I close to some of them? Not anymore. And I don't think I ever was, really. I really don't. What's interesting, though, is that they talk about me, My mother told me today that I guess the argument in the family now is that they think that I'm going to vote for Trump. Now, none of them have none of them reached out to me and tell me their concerns or want to talk to me about that, or even ask me if that's the case. I send them my videos. Never once did I say I was voting for Trump. So that lets me know that you heard Trump and you turned it off. And many people do that. Many liberals do that, including Black people, right? Including Black people, including my own family. Because here I am, most likely being labeled as either a coon or a token, right? Anybody who watches my content and actually stays with it knows that I'm not voting Democratic. I'm not voting Democratic because the Democrats, or the liberals, if you will, I find the most issue with. I find that I'm arguing the most with, right? I'm finding that I'm feeling the most unheard by are liberals or Democrats. And so in my content, I talk a lot about that, and I speak about, again, on my episode of The Awakening, I talk about when you wake up and realize, like, who is for you, who's actually in your corner. people are focused on Trump. I'm not going to vote Democratic. Not if Biden's on the table. Why? For what? I think it's very interesting that, I'm going to do another episode on this one, but just something I want to touch base on because I've been watching Biden. There's some things that he's done that I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Okay, that's cool. But then I think about them and I'm like, wait a minute. It's interesting that all the races, Asian, Black, Mexican, the minorities, right? Because we're not the minority anymore, people of color. We got to wake up and realize that we're not the minorities anymore, right? There is a minority. There's a new minority. It's not us, right? But our president is speaking about the minorities and how we need to help minorities. Who's we? Who is we? White people. And not only that, but they're grouping all of our struggles into one. The minority struggle. The struggles of people of color. That's interesting. Why would someone do that? There's less accountability, guys. There's less accountability. And who still is our savior? White liberals who aren't taking ownership of anything. That's problematic to me. So again, if my whole message is that if I were to lean in to that joke of what do you do besides sell drugs? If I were to lean into the microaggression of, you know what, my cousin's Black. If I were to lean into that, that makes me a token. Black people, what happens when you lean into someone not taking ownership to white violence? Someone not taking ownership or lumping all people of color's struggles together. What happens when you lean into that? What do you become then? We got to be very, very careful of who we're labeling as coons and tokens. We have to be very, very careful, because the reality is that if you are arguing whether Democrat or Republican, understand, in regards to being a token, it's just whether are you a blue or a red token. That's it. I'm an independent. And I challenge Black people to choose to be independent. Why? Because then you think for yourself. You think for yourself. Do you want to know the biggest thing that liberals can't stand, and I know it speaking from experience, is a Black man who thinks for himself and speaks for himself and calls them out, right? That's who I'm arguing with, guys. That's who's in my DMs. That's who's calling me dipshits, right? Those are the people who are blocking me, unfriending me, These are liberals. So in regards to being a token, I'm not leaning in to those shades of white violence anymore. And now I'm token free. It's important that we understand that as Black people, is that why are you what you are? Why do you believe the things you do? Why don't you challenge the things that you do? Why? Because this is generational trauma. It's generational trauma. We have been tokens for generations, specifically following under liberal ideals, where it's about changing racists. All that does is build white supremacy. Fighting to change racists builds white supremacy. It does. Because anyone who has any ounce of intelligence knows that it's behavioral. What does that mean? I talked about it on my show on The Awakening. It's behavioral. It's a daily behavior of distancing yourself from building white supremacy. And you do that in your dollars, not your mouth, not in creating awareness, not in canceling people, not in getting people fired. That's not how you distance yourself from white supremacy. That's how you build it. And who's doing the most building of white supremacy? Liberals. Why? Where do they spend their money at, guys? You can't have a Black Lives Matter shirt on, but then shop at Amazon. I know. That's hard, man. That's hard to do. My husband and I were just talking about it the other day. We really do need to stop shopping at Amazon. We do. We absolutely do. 100%. 100%. Let's talk about the ABC. I believe it's ABC 15. But before we do that, I always want to share some videos with you guys from TikTok because I think it's important to continue to understand that there's just so much information out there in the world and to see how the world is changing. So what I want to talk about in regards to being the token is that I speak for myself, right? My channel, 81 Degrees Kelvin, this show is my expression. These are my thoughts, my opinions, my observations. And I make content for Black people. Does this mean that only Black people can watch my content? Absolutely not. Anyone can watch my content. Anyone can take anything they want from it. But this space is a safe space for Black people. And I am relentless in educating my people on a different way to view life. And it's important to me because I am Black. I am Black. And I have not felt more myself and more empowered and more educated and just more enlightened than I do now. And it's because I don't think the way that I used to. And I'm not the only one. And so what I'm going to show you guys right now is three things. I'm just going to show you the vibe. I'm going to show you the vibe of Black America. Okay? The new Black America.
First of all, good morning. Can we get a round of applause for the face? That being said, with all of this TikTok controversy going on, I need to make this abundantly clear to people that seem to still be confused. This is a pro-Black women's page. I am a Black woman. I do not pick sides. I am here for the girls and the gays, pro-Black women, pro-Black queer women, pro-Black trans women, pro-Black gay women. I'm here for Black women. And I am unyielding in that. I do not care what everybody else is talking about out here. This address right here, Glam Melanin's address, the place that you are at right now, is pro-Black women. If that intersection is uncomfortable for you,
come on now.
Move on. First of all, good morning.
That's one. Let's go for this one.
So it looks like we've gotten a lot of new family members in the last 24 hours. Welcome. But every time this happens, we have to define our terms and conditions here on this page. So if y'all have not noticed, this is a very pro-Black page. Black women, Black men, Black theys and thems, anything in between. If it's Black, we love it. Unless you're a coon, then you can go somewhere else.
We're going to talk about that.
Jesus is the homie, okay?
We're going to talk about that.
We are very pro LGBTQIA+ over here. We do not discriminate. End of story. And last but most certainly not least, we are very anti-Trump. So if you are and you are a Trump supporter, you might not like it here. Just putting that out there. If you want to unfollow me, no love lost. I promise it's okay. But yeah, if I'm forgetting anything, I'll probably just put it in the comments. But welcome, y'all. If that works for y'all, let's have fun.
Let's have fun. If not, no problems, right? Now, listen, I just showed you guys two Black content creators on TikTok that are absolutely amazing, and they speak their mind and they speak the truth, right? The second one, her and I can have some discussion about some things, right? But what's important is that she makes content for Black people. Her and I are not going to agree on everything, right? Trump's not the issue. I don't think Trump is an issue. I really honestly don't. Did Trump make people uncomfortable? Absolutely. People need to be uncomfortable. They do. Okay. She talks about Jesus. Listen, I have my thoughts on that, right? I haven't done a show on that. That's moving forward. The reason why I show you these things is because I want it to be very clear out there that this content is for Black people. And so if you're uncomfortable, it's because you care, right? or you don't care and you're pissed off and you're offended, right? Now, if you're uncomfortable and you stay with me and you're not angered, it's because you care, right? And you know and you get it, right? But if you're uncomfortable and you're offended, like I always say, baby, fuck off. I'm not here for you, right? I'm just not. Luis says, people don't want the light shine onto them because they hide behind masks and the darkness. I love your show because it makes me think and grow as a human being and educate myself. Luis, thank you so much. Listen, I appreciate that. I think that's great. I think it's wonderful. I'm still learning too. And I have been more empowered and more connected and more present, not only in my own life, but just in the lives of my community and people that I love the most, when I switch my train of thought and switch my perspective and switch how I talk about things, right? And switch what I cared about and what I tried to control, okay? So let's talk about the ABC 15 article. So I got hit up by, she hit me up. She's a reporter. I'm gonna speak my truth, okay? Because I think it's very interesting. Now, what I'm about to tell you is my experience of our meetup, right? And my opinion as to why certain things did or didn't happen, okay? And it's only because I'll be 40 this year. I'm not a stupid person. And so miss me with the dumb shit, right? Miss me with the dumb shit. And that just is what it is. So I got hit up by Elizabeth Hergo. Okay, she wanted. Now this is the third reporter that hit me up to do a story on me, or wanted my perspective of the George Floyd mural incident, if you will, and you know I met with AZ Central. They did a bang up article, did a fantastic article. Was out that day. I met with the Phoenix New Times, interviewed with this beautiful woman. She was a white woman. The first one was a black woman. The second one was a white woman. Great interviews, great discussion. Both of them released articles within hours of me speaking with them, and both articles were fantastic. ABC 13 hits me up. Backpack, the one who, and this is the last time I'm probably going to speak with Backpack, but she I guess directed this reporter come talk to me. Okay. What's interesting is that I do a FaceTime with this reporter. I meet with her. We do a FaceTime. God, this sun, I love the way that sun looks in my face. That looks kind of cool. I do a FaceTime with this reporter, right? My husband was present when it happened. We met for a good, I want to say maybe 25 minutes. And I told her my truth. Exactly as I've always been saying it. And I told her exactly how I felt about everything. Right? Because that's what she asked for. She said, what's your perspective? What's your truth? And I gave her my truth. After speaking with this woman for about 20 minutes, I asked her, when's this going to air? Let me back up. While speaking with this woman, as you guys can tell, I'm not a stupid person, right? And so I spoke my truths about everything, and like I just said all that. I don't know why I'm repeating it. I'm repeating it because it's just this stuff is very interesting to me. And so, but as I was speaking my truths to her, I could tell that she was becoming uncomfortable. It was obvious. She was fidgeting. She had to talk to her mom at one point. It just was it was not it did not match the experiences that I had with the first reporter and the second reporter. This was different. She was a white woman, and I was telling her very, very, very eloquently and telling her that white women trying to paint murals of black trauma is done so for clout. Bottom line. And that this entire story has been about I had to do what white people aren't willing to do. and how this person still hasn't done that. I was very bold about that, articulate, okay? Unyielding, unapologetically black in what I said to her. They didn't air it. Why? I don't think I fit their story. I don't think I fit the story they wanted to tell. I think they wanted to make me the villain. And I knew this going into this entire thing. One of the first things I said to the first reporter and to the second reporter was like, I have no desire to have my words misconstrued, nor to be made to be the villain in this. I don't. I have a very clear thing that I want being said. If you guys want to meet with me, you're going to do this. You're going to play by my rules. Bottom line, because I know how this goes. I've seen it too many times. And I'm not going to be your token black guy. Come on now. I'll get us there. I'm not going to be your token black guy and how you want to tell this story. I don't. I won't. And I'm prepared. I'm ready for you. You know what I mean? I'm ready for you. I already know what you're going to tell me. I already know what you're going to say. People don't know this about me, but I think about this stuff all the time. So I already know. And again, I'm 40. I'll be 40 this year. Telling black people that what they're experiencing is, gaslighting their experiences or not believing them or wanting to debate with them it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing as an adult. It's embarrassing, right? Why? Because you're telling black people that their experience is false. You're calling them straight up liars. For what? Right? I know what I'm talking about. They didn't post this. They stayed away from this because it didn't tell the story they wanted to tell. That's my personal opinion. That's my humble opinion. And that is the way it is. So, what does this all mean? What this all means is this, is that for us to continue to wake up black people, is that we cannot lean in to white violence. Those microaggressions that I talked about earlier are very specific indications that, again, these are people that are in our corner who are not ready to take ownership of their part in the struggles that you're facing. But on that same token, black folks, how much ownership are you going to take in your part in your struggles? How much? You see, because I'm about to take all ownership for my actions. I know I don't shop black all the time. I know I don't shop black when I should be shopping black. I know that I don't share other black people's content as much as I should, right? I don't. I'm trying though. I'm changing my behavior. I am. And it's a daily, relentless, unyielding effort. And if you aren't willing to give in that effort and first of all realize that you're not giving in that effort, then you are no different than the white allies that I talk about who are pumping their fists saying Black Lives Matter, but ordering Amazon packages like it's going out of style. Building white supremacy. Be careful with the word token, guys, because you just might be the token yourself. That is my time, ladies and gentlemen. It's been about 40 minutes. So my name is Kelvin West. Once again, this is 81 Degrees Kelvin. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. I will be redoing this video. You guys already know the deal. So thank you guys so much. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Big shout out to the black mothers out there, the single black mothers out there, the trans mothers out there, the gay mothers out there, to all my black mothers out there, and any mother out there. To the white mothers raising black kids. Woo, boy. To the white moms raising black kids. Continue to lean in to black excellence and distancing yourself from white supremacy. That is my time. Life is good, love is real. That's what I always say, and always will. Thank you, guys.
It sound right, boys.